Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you. I am really happy to be here today to talk about the progress that we've made. I want to start with some thank yous, as everyone has. But I want to be really clear that those thank yous to Mayor Harrell, to the Lived Experience Coalition, to our King County colleagues, to our HUD colleagues, those thank yous are not just like, oh, it's good to do thank yous at the beginning of a speech, right? Those thank yous are indicative of the fact that the authority represents, as Marvin said, one table, although that phrase is a little triggering for some of us. It represents a place where the community has come together to say collectively, we are going to end homelessness, right? And so the authority's leadership is not autocratic, it is leadership in partnership. And so these thank yous are not trite, they are real thank yous, right? Like, we have done something together that is fundamentally different. We will continue doing those things together that are fundamentally different, but the first thing we do different is doing things together. So I'm really, really happy to say that we're here today in this spirit of partnership to have this conversation. I will also say the thing that I always say, right, which is there's no good press conference about homelessness until everybody is housed. And today is still not that day. But the thing that we have to celebrate is this is real progress, right? And I know that many of you have been through the progress rodeo before, right? Of here come the officials who announce the good thing. This is real progress. And I say that as the person who came here in 2018 to audit why there was no progress. Some of what you are seeing today, this blow up, for example, of our what's called the executive dashboard for the downtown BNL. This was not possible before. It was not possible for me. I reran it literally 5 minutes before I walked over here to get the latest numbers. It was not possible to go in and say who is experiencing what, how many people, what characteristics, where are they, and what is our plan for them, right? Right before I walked over here, I met with some members of our system advocates team, right? We have over 25 system advocates in the field right now doing the work of connecting with folks. And the conversation we had in my office before I walked over was, you're doing incredible work. How can we make it easier for you? What are the barriers you are currently experiencing in housing people that are, frankly, absurd, that we as a community have collectively come together and said must no longer be barriers? And so, right, we're having conversations about, this is banal, but documentation requirements that are not requirements for any of you to move into housing, right? Things that we require of our most vulnerable that we do not require of anyone else, that we collectively have the capacity to say that should not be in the way, right? That should not be a reason why someone sleeps outside again tonight. I want to also be really clear that this is not something that just the government can do alone, right? So I'm really grateful to Felicia Salcedo and our We Are In partners, both for the monetary contribution, but also, frankly, for helping to champion, again, the creation of the space, right, where we can all collectively have the right conversation. I also want to lift up our nonprofit partners, Just Care, PDA, Reach, Urban League. I'm sure I'm forgetting people, so if you see this later and I forgot you, I didn't forget you. But, right, this is not just, sort of the work of government. This is the work of the community. I want to just briefly talk a little bit about this data. I think data is really important. I share the mayor's commitment to transparency and to dashboards that folks can understand. So as of today, we have engaged over 650 people. The number I have from earlier this morning is 665. We have done that by, again, deploying our system advocate team. They have done incredible work. Really incredible work. They have worked swing shifts into the night, early morning, to ensure that we are connecting with every single person who is unsheltered in our downtown core and CID areas. We have, seen again the startling disproportionality in who experiences homelessness. It should not be missed that roughly 260, almost 270 people are white, but 209 people are black. That is not in line with what the general population of this county is, right? Which is only 6% black. So we have to continue to foreground that when we solve homelessness for our folks of color, right, in particular our Black and Native American communities, that is the path to solving homelessness for everyone. I also want to lift up that homelessness is a housing problem, right? And so connecting with people, building relationships is the infrastructure to help get folks inside, but the thing that you need to get people inside is housing, right? And so to that end, we have identified as part of this effort over 300 units of available housing that are ready for folks to move in today. We will continue to push on that, right, so that when we are done, we will have close to 1,000 units of available housing so that we have buffer, right, so that if other folks appear downtown, and part of this project is based on the fact that downtown has structural factors that will always dump, frankly, people who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness into the core with no recourse. We have to end that at some point. But until we do, we need to be prepared to meet them when they get here and get them rehoused. The alternative is not acceptable. And so to that end, we have also diversified how we think about housing. So the housing that I'm talking about is not just PSH, it is not just, sort of low-income housing, it is all types of housing. Recognizing that many of the folks who are experiencing homelessness, right, can participate in market rate housing if they have shallow subsidy, if they have bridge, right? We understand that through decades of rapid rehousing work in various forms at this point. And so we are committed as an agency to not playing in the market like the market isn't real, but in fact understanding that market and using the weight that we have, the fact that our partners at HUD basically actually underwrite this housing market. That's how much money HUD puts into this jurisdiction. And as a result, we have a responsibility on behalf of our unhoused neighbors to act like that's true instead of trying to wiggle around the edges. So the conversations we're having with landlords have become fundamentally different. Can I rent this whole floor? I don't need a unit from you. I need this floor. I need 2 floors. I need to talk about everything you've got that I can marshal towards ending homelessness. We will be beginning with resolving about 5 major encampments across the downtown core and CID. And I want to just sort of end with talking a little bit about how we have to remain centered in our values. And I want to pick up on a thread that Marvin had, which is that when this project was initially being conceived, I remember having a lot of rapid conversations with funders, with Felicia, and we were talking then about this concept, right, of what's called a sort of joint emergency operation, which is whenever an emergency strikes multiple jurisdictions, you have to bring the jurisdictions into one operation to execute on the shared tasks. And I remember saying then that we need to understand that the jurisdiction that we have never understood as a jurisdiction are the people who are experiencing homelessness, right? They are a part of this in a way that requires decisional power that we had failed to structurally understand in the past. And so the creation of Marvin's seat, right, the creation of that lived experience seat was not a tokenistic enterprise. And when Marvin says he makes decisions about the resources that we deploy, like Marvin's decisions are separate and apart from mine and often overrule mine. Like that is what we are talking about because Marvin represents a jurisdictional stakeholder here, right? And until we make that the model nationally, frankly, with how we approach ending homelessness, until we understand that only those proximate can actually understand what is necessary to end the problem, we will be stuck here, but King County won't be. Thank you.